All right, guys, it's been a while, but I am back. We got another video for you today. All right, so it's 2017, my first year on YouTube, and I decided to do a video on advice for beginning farmers, and it was a part one and part two. Part one was kind of terrible. So I guess the biggest thing I want to talk about are some of the mistakes I've made as a beginning farmer. Yes, I have made mistakes. PA Farms has not been flawless in the execution of the of the farming operations here. There have been mistakes that have been made, and one good thing about if you're watching this video, I can make the mistakes and be the one that has to learn the hard lesson, and I can hopefully pass on some of the information so you guys don't make that mistake too. All right, so I want to try to keep this quick, try to keep it rolling so it's not real long. Basically, we're going to call this my lessons learned. We're going to come to the whiteboard here, and let's jump right into it. It's spring of 2017. I'm gearing up to start farming the place here, and I need equipment. And equipment can be one of the biggest traps you can get yourself in as far as money and debt and the kind of equipment or the how expensive equipment you're going to buy. Equipment is not cheap, and it just keeps going up all the time. And I'm not equipped to be 100% self-sufficient, and that's kind of on purpose. If I were to be 100% self-sufficient as a beginning farmer, what happens? I'm deeply in debt, or I have a heck of a lot of overhead and upkeep and maintenance, and you guys know the drill. But when I first started farming the place, I did make a huge mistake in that I was focusing too much. And now, granted, this year hay sales have been the best year I've ever had, but I focused too much on, hang on, I'll come back with you. All right, so I focused way too much on buying hay, just abbreviate, equipment, hay equipment. Hay, I can get the cap on the marker, there we go. All right, hay, making hay does require a lot of equipment, at least the way I do it. You need a tedder here in the Northeast, you need a rake, you need thrower wagons, you need a baler, you need a hay bine, you need a hay elevator, the whole 9 yards. And when I sat down and started pricing out everything I would need to be able to not only make hay, but do all the other operations that were required to grow row crops, the number was astronomical. And one of the biggest mistakes you can make is somebody who's just starting out or starting a business and you don't have a whole lot of cash, cash flow, not much money in the bank. One of the biggest mistakes you can make is go deeply into debt to purchase equipment for a business. Now, some cases it might make sense if you are farming large numbers of acreages, you're on a large scale, and you already have a market for your product, which wasn't the case for me in 2017. I did not have any hay customers. At the time, I was pricing and purchasing the hay equipment. It was kind of something I was going to have to build throughout the years. Now, 3 years later, I am up to 7, 8, 9 different hay customers. It took 3 years to get to that level to finally have a steady customer base and have a market for the product. The only problem is hay requires a lot of time. In 2017 and 2018, I was relying on the income of a part-time job in the farm, and my wife was also working at that time, so you could make it work. Excuse me. I could stay home. I could make hay. I had time. The disaster of 2018, you guys will know, was the worst year I had here in my third year, or second year, I'm sorry. The second year, it was terrible, and was probably going to run into financial problems if I did not do something. So I went back to work full-time, worked part-time, and farmed, and you get the picture. We righted the ship. 2019 was an excellent year, and we're fine. So being that I had less time, I got rid of some hay acres, and my hay acres are planning on getting less every year just because of the time it takes and fighting the weather. I lost a lot of hay this year to rain, and the bales just went to waste. Hay had to be left in the field to rot because of the weather and time. So the hay is down to about, I'd say 10% of the acres here for 2020 is the plan. So most of my equipment that I invested in is hay equipment. And you see where the mistake is. Most of the money was spent on equipment for 10% of the production on the farm. So mistake made. I should not have spent so much on equipment. I should have just bought basic, and some guys might call my equipment basic. I mean, it's not top of the line, but I spent too much on a baler. I should have never bought 2 rakes. I have 2 tedders. Just too much for the income. The income on the hay is nowhere near what the row crops is, and especially this year with a higher price per bushel, at least for the corn. All right, so what have I learned? What does 2019 PA Farms know that he wish he could go back and tell 2017 PA Farms? As far as when I was looking to buy equipment, I should have invested more money in a sprayer, because your sprayer, especially how I'm set up to do things, that sprayer gets more use than probably any other piece of equipment. I should have invested in something that's a little bit more quality, something that was a little bit more precise. If you don't spray or fertilize, the sprayer is such an important piece of a farm operation. And I went the cheapest I could, and that was a huge mistake. So investing in another sprayer is still on the list, but like I said, lesson learned. Should have spent less on the baler, shouldn't have worried about buying all these extra tedders and rakes, and I should have put that money into a better sprayer. That brings me to the third thing, manure. You guys know that I have been purchasing broiler manure, layer manure, any type of chicken manure for the farm here for the fertility. There are 3 piles down here. It may not look like it, but these are 20 tons a piece, plus there's another pile up on top of the hill, and there's more to come. He can only haul it if the ground is frozen. So let me get into talking about manure. All right, as far as the mistakes that I have made, it took me 3 years now, 3, to finally get make a connection with the right type of outfit to bring this manure here, to haul this manure. I've been getting manure now just about, I didn't my first year, but second and third year I did, but I didn't get enough. And it took 3 years to finally establish a connection with somebody that is going to be dependable and can bring the tonnage, and especially bring it at the right time. So why is manure so important for a beginning farmer? It is for me. This stuff, it smells terrible. I'm just standing here and I'm starting to choke on it. But this is well worth what I'm paying for what is in this manure. So as a beginning farmer, I am a firm believer in using poultry manure in your fertility program. I do not recommend just mining nutrients or just putting on a little bit of man-made fertilizer, as people call it. That type of fertilizer is very expensive. You have to understand the modern poultry industry, mainly the feed in modern poultry. The feed that is formulated for these birds, poultry, is such a high-tech science, and some of the stuff that goes into poultry feed today in the layer houses and the broiler houses, it's amazing the amount of minerals and additives that are added to the feed that go through these birds, these chickens, and makes its way into the manure. A lot of guys look at manure, especially poultry, and look at it as nitrogen, nitrogen, nitrogen. I am not counting this as nitrogen. Yes, there is a lot of nitrogen in poultry manure, but I am not using it for that. I am still planning on using liquid nitrogen as a top dress, as a pre-emerge type of fertility, because nitrogen, what does it do? It leaches away. I'm a strong believer in putting it into a growing crop that it can be absorbed. I know there's a lot of different ways to do it, but that's how I believe works for me. But I'm using poultry manure for the P and K, the phosphorus and the potassium. And not only the phosphorus and potassium, you're buying the manure for all the, as he called it, miracle bugs. There is a lot of bacteria in this. There's a lot of fungus in this. There are lots of micronutrients that go through the birds. In modern poultry operations, you are getting all kinds of wonderful things that you cannot buy in a jug, or is more concentrated and does a better job than anything you're going to buy in a jug to put through the sprayer and onto your crop. For what I pay per ton to have this delivered, you could not match buying synthetic fertilizer, or like if I were to get a load of potash to match what is in this, it would not work out on paper the same way as buying the manure by the ton. So if you're a beginning guy, you're looking for a good source of plant food to grow a crop, this is what I believe is the way to go. So what did I learn? Like I say, it took me too long to get connected. The way you're going to go about doing this is try to find yourself a manure broker that deals with manure. A lot of these houses, these layer houses, these broiler houses, they don't have a lot of acreage. And if you're like me and you live in the Chesapeake Bay watershed, you have a manure management plan that you must have, and I have completed, and have the analysis done on not only the manure but your soil, and there's limits on what you can spread, so it pays to go right to what you can spread, and that's probably what's going to happen this year. I'm very excited about 2020 and the fertility program more than anything. Definitely going to try to max out what I'm allowed to. And I haven't been able to do that because of not being able to find the right type of person. If you guys go back to my videos, I did a video that I had the analysis in my hand and I read off what's in it. They do test it for nutrients, including, well, there's stuff in there that's not even on the nutrient test that's a benefit to you, but it took me too long to finally make that connection. So find yourself a manure broker that's reliable. All right, this video is getting kind of long, but another lesson that I just learned, and it took me till about this year to finally get over this. It took me till 2019. Now, like I say, I was a mechanic on farm equipment. I love equipment. I love to watch it work. I love to learn about it. I love to run it. I am very interested in equipment. I wanted to own as much of it as I could get my hands on, whether it served a purpose or not. I just went equipment crazy. Now I've kind of been in moderation. I haven't really bought anything in a while, but I don't know what it is with 2019 here. Let me try to find a spot where the lighting's better. But anyway, it took me all the way till this year to realize that as a beginning farmer with a limited budget, and you're on a small scale acreage wise, you're not a big time operator, I had to get over that. I had to take all my desire to want to upgrade. Oh, I want something with a cab. I want something with heat. I want something with air conditioning. I want something that's newer. I want something that's more high tech. I want this. I want that. I mean, I had talked to an older guy and said it doesn't matter what you own or what you're able to afford to buy or what you're using on your farm. It doesn't matter how new you go, you're always going to want something newer. You're going to want something better because things change over time. You're never satisfied with that desire to keep upgrading equipment. So it took me a while to get over that, but I don't know what it is. Maybe it's just because of being so busy, I'm not as involved with working on it and stuff. My love of equipment has kind of really taken a nosedive, and I'm kind of, it's not, don't get me wrong, don't get it mixed up with somebody that doesn't like equipment, that's lack of maintenance and that whole thing. I'm talking about the desire to keep wanting to upgrade, to buy the next thing, to get something newer, to get something better. Yes, it would make life a lot easier. It might, in some cases, might make it more efficient, but not really for me. The way I'm set up to do things here with having somebody else plant and somebody else harvest, those two things, and they are able to do it as efficiently as I think possible. The only real upgrade that's going to help my efficiency at this point is a better sprayer. Like I said, one of the mistakes I made, we come back to that. So I really lost interest in wanting to buy more equipment and upgrade to more equipment. My interest has changed here in 2019. My interest is focusing on fertility. Getting a good crop, getting a decent yield, and over time of focusing all my efforts on a fertility program that works. And again, as a young farmer, what you use in the field is totally irrelevant. What color you have, how new it is, it doesn't mean anything if you don't produce a crop. The crop is your end goal. A yield, a decent yield is your end goal. Good marketing, a good price per bushel is your end goal. However you can achieve that the most efficiently from start to finish is where the money is going to come from. It's where the freedom to have choices and what you spend the money on. It's going to get you out of if you're under any type of debt or anything like that. So again, wisdom from an older farmer: no matter what you own, you're never going to be satisfied. You're going to keep wanting more. So it's a good lesson to learn. What I have here is definitely sufficient. Now, that doesn't create views on YouTube. That isn't exciting because there's not, oh, new combine, new trucks, new track. No, it's not. And being a small-time farmer, I don't think is going to be as exciting as somebody who is a really large operation, because it's just a matter of math and numbers and what you're able to do. So, but like I said, and I'm trying to be proof of this, that in 2020, you can survive as a small-time farmer. And if anybody out there on the internet or anywhere needs an example of that, PA Farms is here, and we're going to move forward next year. And 2019, like I said, was a good year. 2017 was a good year. 2018 wasn't so good. It's going to be an up and down type of thing as a beginning farmer, but we are in a position with how I've tried to do things here and how I've done things that we can keep going.